Good day, field study students of Baguio City College. Welcome back to episode 9, which is Creating My Classroom and Remote Learning Management Plan. We are in the halfway of our field study activities and output. Good work for finishing field study 1, episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. This is Dr. Maria Sheila D. Flohimon, your FS2 supervisor. The following intended learning outcome is at the end of the learning episode, you must have explained the importance of classroom management plan. Second, you must have enumerated the components of classroom management plan. You must have written classroom management plan, and you must have used professional reflections and learning to improve practice. Looking into the picture, okay, this is the picture. What can you see on the picture? Yes, no, you can see a classroom, no, in the picture. It is where the teaching and learning takes place. Now, looking at the picture, you can see the chairs are properly arranged with tables, no, in which students can really be able to work with. They can write properly because every individual has chairs and has table. Next, another picture. Slide 4, no? Okay, this is again a picture of a classroom wherein there are students and a teacher. So this is the learning environment. A classroom is a learning environment. To complete the learning environment, there should have a teacher and also there should have students inside the four corners of the classroom. Next, how did you know that there is a proper management in the classroom? Looking at the picture. Okay. Okay, looking at the picture, there is a teacher in front and the students are properly arranged in a group, like she gathers all the students inside the classroom for a certain activity to properly manage the classroom and also to properly manage her um, teaching strategy. Okay, so they are gathered inside the classroom. To be an effective uh, teacher, teaching and learning environment, there is a need not to manage in a classroom because the classroom management is very important because it has to do well so that student would have a conducive place for learning. Okay. Next, what are the reason of teachers reduces effectiveness in classroom management? Ano ay yan ang rason? No? Okay, one of which is inadequate training and little assistance from colleagues. No, that those are those are two reasons. Aside from this inadequate or inappropriate assignment or inadequate preparation, there is also an inadequate professional development, which is some major factors, no, of the classroom management problem faced by our new teachers. That is according to Baker of 2005. Again, aside from the inadequate training and little assistance from the colleague, there are still some factors which are being faced by the new teachers. And these are inadequate assignment, inadequate preparation, and inadequate professional development, according to Baker of 2005. New teachers, no, has a problem because there are something lacking, no, in their training, or others are they were not being assisted by their colleagues when they are new in the um, school. No, not all schools are doing that, but there are really some. No, some schools, no, that wherein new teachers have already faced this kind of problem. And aside from that, for them to be able to really reduces to really become effective na inside the classroom, they have to establish a positive and productive classroom environment to her co-teachers, and to even um, hire teachers or leaders, no, supervisors, no, in their school. Now, this time, we are going to talk about classroom management. What are the things that you have to do for you to be able to have a classroom management plan? First is create a plan. Huh? To effectively perform your duty in teaching, we have to create a plan in managing our classroom. Example, part of your classroom management plan is a rule that students must raise hands when they wanted to speak. Then when they fail to follow, they will be given a warning for the first time. For the second time that they are not following instructions, again, they you can let them stand straight for a long period of time at the back of the room, although um sometimes, no, this is being though sometimes you are giving punishment to your student, but still it can really help a lot, no. Or if not, you can also ask them to make a written apology, or sometimes you can also ask your student to explain, no, things that they have done inside the classroom. Next is why students achieved best. Why is it that students achieved their best? Why are they there is an increases success, no, in their students? Because teacher um will focus more on his or her teaching, no, inside the classroom, so that students are being will be well disciplined due to the more focus of her teaching strategy, not on the behavior of the students. If you are going to focus on your teaching strategy, then students will just listen and students will just abide. Students also will enhance their academic skills because of a well-disciplined classroom that are being spent mostly academically. So when you focus yourself in academic, I think students will really um, listen, will really follow if you are focusing more on the academics, on the technique, on how are you going to relay the lesson, on what kind of strategy are you going to make use for your student to really be able to understand. Next is benefit. With a classroom management plan, students know what to expect from their teacher. Students often want to be treated in the same way as other students. So a classroom management plan ensures that each student received the same treatment. So meaning who will benefit, what will you receive in creating your management plan, you will benefit. Will benefit what? You will benefit something that your students will receive the same treatment from the same treatment with the other students. Next, we are now in the key elements for effective classroom management. Okay. Looking at the picture, we are referring to classroom design. So when we say classroom design, we are talking about the seating arrangement inside the classroom. We are also looking into some bulletin boards inside the classroom. And you have to also see to it that the displays inside the classroom is related to all the subjects, and it is pleasing in the eye, and it does not hinder the learning style of your student. There is a storage area for your cleaning materials, na? And also equipment supplies are being well arranged. There is a certain portion of your parts of the classroom that everything is in its proper places. Okay. Another key element for effective classroom management is rules. Okay? Because rules foster love, care, respect, sense of community in the class. Okay? So when rules are being implemented inside the classroom, there are expectations being set at the beginning of the class to foster this love, care, respect, and sense of community inside the class. No? So they feel that they belong in your classroom. They feel that you are one community. That is rules. Okay. You have to set rules before the start of your class. Okay. Another one is discipline. Okay. Discipline is a positive method of teaching students self-control, while punishment is a technique used to enforce discipline. Because classroom rules must define the consequences of every action or in every misdemeanor demeanor in class. This will ensure fairness and consistency in dealing with your students. Now, when positive discipline is followed, then rewards must be given for the good behavior that is being done by your student. That is another key element. Another one is scheduling. According to the Center on the Social and Emotional Foundations of Early Learning, studies have been documented that schedules and routines influence children's emotional, cognitive, and social development. Meaning that you are going to give time allotment, no, to each period and in every activity inside the classroom. So meaning there should have a time, there should have a period in each of the activity inside the class. You have to let your students finish the first activity, then later go on with your second activity. Because it makes students stay on time and on task. So after that activity, you can then continue to the next activity. That is what we call scheduling. Another one is organization. Okay. Organization means that when your classroom is organized with the defined areas and spaces, it can help assist a student in anticipating the requirements of a specific setting and to predict what will be happening during the instructional day. So, meaning you have to systematize the arrangement of the files and records and keep them organized always. and ready for use inside the classroom. So meaning, if all things are being organized inside the classroom, um, there is an easy access of everything inside the classroom. If you need something, it's just there. It can be seen. There is an easy access. Dali lang nimo makita kag magamit. No? Another thing is instructional techniques. Another key elements. These are the things that you are going to um, think first before you will make your classroom management plan for you to be effective, no, in creating and in implementing this classroom management plan. This one is instructional techniques. Now, instructional techniques is promoting a safe and efficient environment that allows students to feel comfortable and safe. It will enhance their motivation and progress, and it will also develop the sense of belongingness. Now, what do you think? No? Um, what do you think? No, is should be a teacher do inside the classroom for her to be effective using these instructional techniques? You have to make sure that you give instruction to a group of students in every task. So meaning, you are going, as a teacher, you are going to implement, no, your technique for students to learn. You have to make sure that these techniques are are very effective to the kind of learner that you have inside the classroom. Next, what can you see on the picture? Okay. A teacher who is giving instruction inside the classroom. Okay. Aside from that, it can be also effective on the side, on on the um, for the teacher to be a good. On the picture is a teacher who is trying her best to give instruction to her student, because communication is very effective to students. You have to always make sure that in every instruction that you give, you have to make sure that you give correct instruction, because it will really help a lot to your students. So how are you going to implement classroom management? So you have to first consider all possible scenarios. So meaning, you have to make sure that if this is your first time leading a classroom or creating your management plan, you have to consider talking to fellow teachers about strategies, no, they use to manage their classroom. The more scenarios you consider in planning, then the more prepared you might be throughout the year. No? So that is considering all possible scenarios. Next, introduce the plan as early as possible. So this will also prevent the formation of bad habits of or any issues with a consistent discipline. It is better if your penalties or rewards remain consistent throughout the year, rather than including alterations after you introduce management. Next is create helpful visuals. So you can also have a poster or sign the list of the penalty for breaking a rule, so you can refer it when needed. So meaning should have a poster on a certain side of your classroom that when a student had broken a certain rule, they can you can write the penalty and they can be able to accept that they did something wrong and be able to sign it. This will not only allow the students to learn proper behavior, but also it will shows you that you are not an arbitrary assigns. Another one is management. Refer to the management plan. So you can also try giving quiz to students about the management plan. For example, you have to ask students who knows what do we do when the lunch bell rings, or what to do in every test being done. Okay, so that is just a sort of uh, re, re, uh, a sort of something that you are reminding your student, but it's on a form of a quiz about your plan. Okay. Okay. Then distribute rewards. No, rewards can be simple items like stickers or some more like extension of a recess time at the end of the school week. No? You can give reward or distribute rewards to your students if as a part of your management plan. Or you can also let their parents involved. Like you can established guideline for classroom behavior that a parent is already aware, so that they can also be able to help you in discussing about your management plan if there are some issues to your student. So you can ask the parent to help you uh, assist your management plan, a certain like something that they can help you explain to your students. Okay. Now, these are the components of a classroom or a remote learning management plan. First is philosophical statement. So, looking into the picture, we have the four very important things in your philosophical statement. Okay. These are the ideals, values, beliefs and goals. No? Before making your learning management plan, see to it that you have set your ideals, you have set values and beliefs and your goals on the classroom. And you have to think to what are you going to set as a criteria or standard in which you will judge the quality of your classroom. Okay? Next, you have to have a classroom rules or procedures, meaning think of rules you wanted to set. You have to formulate your rules and your procedure so that you can be able to ensure discipline and order inside the classroom. Now, another one is teacher-student relationship. How will you treat every student in your class? Okay? You will treat them when you interact with your students and when you have a good connection with your student. That is how you are going to treat every student inside your classroom. Okay, next is schedule time frames. Okay. In the schedule of time frames, you are going to plan and control the amount of time you spend on specific tasks. So you have to remember to use time well. No? You have to consider the time frame. Now, what is needed to be achieved? Okay? In the strategies in maintaining up-to-date calendar and avoid distractions. So you have to organize the class schedule, and student must stay focused on the task. Okay. Next is teacher-student relationship. Okay. Teacher-student relationship is that when you interact with students and when you have good connection with your students, then you will achieve a good teacher-student relationship. Because teachers foster positive bonds with students by creating constructive classroom climate. You treat students with respect. You have to have a high expectations for all students, and you have to maximize success for each student. There should have a positive relationships between teachers and students that will enhance student receptivity in your instructions. Now, a classroom structure, design, and arrangement for you to really implement your classroom management is that you have to create a design of your classroom. So are you going to design your classroom? You have to set up your classroom in which, because it is an important component in a learning environment, because this is a very essential piece in your classroom management to support both your teaching and learning. There should have a physical atmosphere of the classroom which can help prevent behavior issues as well as promote and improve learning. Okay. That is classroom structure and design. Now, for you to really implement your classroom management, you have to, one of which is to have a classroom safety and procedure. Classroom safety and procedure is very important because you can be able to um, create safety and security inside the classroom, and at the same time you can safeguard protection to your student. So inside the classroom, you have to set rules. You have to set rules. Make sure that your students are being instructed on what rule are you going to impose for their safety. Once, I think the most important thing to have inside the classroom is the kit. First kit. And you have to teach your student how to stay calm during emergency cases. They have to stay back, no? Unless the student is helping her classmate. You have to teach your student how to go for help, and you have to really try that your student will be able to know how are they going to give first aid. Next is strategies for rewards and consequences. So you have to teach your students strategy for rewards and consequences, meaning you have to let your student understand what is reward is, and you have to let your student speak when they wanted to talk, and be specific if you wanted to give reward. And also, you have to let your student understand the consequences of their action. And these consequences should have used appropriately. And you have to sync your system inside the classroom to the system of your whole school. You have to sync the two. Now, what are the steps in designing a classroom management plan? So it's improving the plan, then you create first you create the plan, then you implement the plan, monitor the plan, and improve the plan. So After creating the plan, you have to make sure that you implement the plan, because when you are not going to implement, students will not believe on your management plan. Then you monitor the plan if the plan is effective. Then if there is something to be improved, then you have to identify on what part of your management plan is should be improved. Okay? Because teaching is a very tough job, especially if you have ongoing behavior issues with your young learners. You know, the high school students are a certain point, no, that if you are a new teacher, or sometimes when you do switch on a certain grade level, or when you realize that your plan on the current grade level is not effective, you may feel overwhelmed, no, to the kind of student that you have inside the classroom. So instead of starting from scratch, you have to implement really the plan, especially for what is the most needed in the classroom, especially in application of your management plan. So before I will end my talk, let me leave to you this quotation. Good classroom management is the art of dealing with problems positively and looking for solutions together so that everyone is involved with and willing to find remedy. Okay, thank you very much. And I hope that you can be able to finish your episode 9 with full understanding. So see you on episode 10.